Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk Fear the Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 9. Before we get into this, I want to let you guys know, if you're new here, massive zombie fan, but I'm not really feeling Fear the Walking Dead, and I want to make a conscious choice to not be overly negative. If there's something that I think is absolutely ridiculous in the storyline or with the writing, I'm gonna say it, but for the most part, I'm here to tell you what I don't like what didn't work for me, for the more negative reviews when it comes to an episode I didn't like. But I'm pulling for it. I want to enjoy this every single episode it's on, for the most part, at least good or great. I was pretty hooked with Season 1 and Season 2, but to be honest, I found myself saying, it's going to get better. It's only 3 episodes in the first season. It's going to get better. This is only the first season. It's going to get better. This is only 2 episodes into the second season. I think when you hit a point where it's the middle of the second season, you don't get to say that anymore. It's either good or it's not. It's either holding its own or it's not. Now, I do want to start off with a pro. One thing that I do love in the world of The Walking Dead, both in the original show, in this show, in the comic book, in the video games, I love it. That is getting the feeling that someone else or multiple other people, big clusters of people, have been here before. I don't care if it was survivors during the outbreak or scavengers or survivors later on that came passing by. In this episode, we saw that a few of the hotel rooms were tagged, and I really like that. There's just something about that environment, because it's like there's an underlining story of something else, that was here previously. I don't know, it adds weight to the story, it fleshes it out, it adds realism, you know what I mean? Like there was another story happening before our characters got here. So that was a huge plus. I do want to bring up a question I have. This pink shirt of Nick's, is this the white shirt that was red and it was just so stained it's pink? Because I'm having a problem with that. It's so even, it's ridiculous. It's bothering the hell out of me. I'm hoping it's a pink shirt, but I have a feeling that's supposed to look like a white shirt that was stained red so much, it's now pink. But it's just so even, it's bugging the hell out of me. The wall's another thing I want to discuss in this community. You guys seen it. It said that the people who were sick or dying, or at least that's what I thought I heard, they go out to the wall and they become part of the protection, they become part of the dead. That whole stuff, I'm done with. I'm over with. Everything that connects to the wall, the Alejandro guy, except for the bite, we'll discuss that at the end, but literally everything that has to do with his preachiness, having the one leader like that, I don't know, something about that cult, church-like vibe to it. I'm done with it all. I don't like it. I don't like its fit in the story. I don't like how they're in interviews they're calling that Alejandro guy a new father figure to Nick, because Nick is one of the characters, or I think he's the most interesting. But the story he's in, like him as a character, for the most part, 60-70% of the time, I find him interesting. I like what he does. I think there's some development there. But for the rest of the time, I'm not liking him, or I don't like what story he's involved in. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But everything that has to do with the wall and this community, I'm already not liking. Real quick, I do want to bring up, a lot of people started sharing a funny meme where the truck was black, and then in the very next scene, the truck was gray. In its defense, I think that's just simply lighting. I think that in the one shot, the truck was in sunlight and it faded it out. And in the other shot, the sun was set at a different position and there was actually shade. And it looked like it just darkened the natural color. So I think that's the same truck, but you're right. You're absolutely right. In the one shot, it looks black. And in the other shot, it does look like a light gray. That's how much the difference is. Another thing, the Abigail. Abigail's gone. That was slightly disappointing. I was kind of hoping that, even though the story was a hit or miss for a lot of fans, I was really hoping the boat would be a backup plan, but it wasn't, which I'm actually shocked. It felt like they put a lot into that boat, designing it and incorporating it into the story. I figured it would stay a backup plan. Now, speaking of the boat being gone, the family split up. Now, this episode I like a lot better than the previous episode. Not the episode as a whole, but the fact that we're focusing on more characters. I felt last episode it hurt a lot just with focusing on Nick and not bouncing back and forth and looking at what other characters are doing. Not only that, with this story, the family dynamic, it being scattered, for me it's disconnected. I partially don't even care. I don't even care if these characters even cross paths again. I don't know, let's just say for a generic example, at this point I kind of feel like it would be awkward if Madison ever ran into Travis right now. Imagine how awkward that would be. I mean, on Travis's end, because he knowingly left. Madison thinks, correct me if I'm wrong, but she thinks he ran after Nick and got separated. She doesn't know because Nick didn't tell her. Then you have Nick, a character I like, and I think this is absolutely retarded that he just ran off away from his family, who obviously took care of him, a lot, So I don't like anything of it. The family scattering, and then they find a hotel. This I couldn't stand because you're looking at a hotel. Society crumbled almost instantly, or at least it felt that way. A hotel has a lot of bodies, a lot of people. So you would imagine that's filled with a lot of walkers. A hotel would probably be the last place I checked. Not only that, there was a bunch of buildings next to the hotel, so it wasn't like their only option. So the hotel thing just bugged the hell out of me. I just thought it was so stupid to check the hotel. Luckily, though, they go in and there was absolutely no walkers around, right? So then we just got a storyline as far as the hotel group where Alicia and Ophelia are upstairs talking. Conversation that just didn't suck me in. Madison and Strand, they were downstairs, and I was really looking forward to this conversation. I was really looking forward to some development here, and I feel like the writing just fell flat. There was nothing there. It should have had a conversation where we should have gotten a quote out of it later, something that could be on a meme. It should have opened up these characters to us in a big way. And I just felt like it was filler dialogue. And then later they were hoping that being drunk would be what connected us, emotionally to those characters and them themselves growing a bond together. Just a simple act of getting drunk. So the conversations didn't work for me at all. And then instead of, and yes, this is where we're going to get super negative, instead of actually sitting down and taking a little more time developing something, anything where walkers could come, they have, him playing a piano and her just smashing glasses. At that point, I almost shut it off. I almost took a break and did a load of laundry, and I shit you not. Listen, they made noise, not because it was, an organic part of the storyline. They made noise to simply bring walkers to create a cliffhanger, to create tension. In my opinion, it's false tension because I feel like they will just introduce characters, get out of this mess, and 5 minutes into the next episode, it's going to be like no big deal. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I just feel that way. As far as the Alicia scene, here's a positive. I love that. I really wish they would have had some other polish, some other draft where they could have polished. I don't even care if it was a gate where a whole bunch of walkers were leaning on it, and when they went into the hotel, the camera kind of panned around, and you see this walker, and he's just itching to get through a broken part of this gate. Maybe he's even crushed on it, and he heard them, so now he has their attention, and he wants to go, but he can't, and you see the gate starting to give way. I would have been fine with that. And then behind the gate is a whole pile of walkers, as if they got stuck in an alleyway. I would have accepted something as easy as that over them just making noise and drawing walkers to them. I mean, you could have had a walker that was dangling when they first came in. For whatever reason, let's say he fell or killed himself or whatever reason, and after their emotional conversation when they're drunk, comedic moment, the walker falls down. Again, for whatever reason, he's up there, and then he goes through some kind of glass thing, and it's so loud. They kind of look at each other, they burst out laughing because they had this serious moment, and then you got this silly scene where a walker just falls down to a glass. Something stupid. I would have taken that over what we actually got. Now, moving on. Let's talk about the hottie. I'm really liking this chick. I don't know her name. I don't even know her camp's name. She's the new chick that went with Nick to get water. But she's unrealistically badass. Within 15 minutes of this episode, or at least her being in the episode, the parts where she was in, I knew immediately this was like somebody unrealistically wrote her badass. That was a 12-year-old. Like a 12-year-old girl wrote her. Well, girl or boy. It was wildly unrealistic. She puts up this whole badass knife, pins the walker up, gets blood on her, which is kind of like this. Like the guy, he's covered in blood, right? And she's hot. She knows it. Everyone in the cast and crew knows it. And she's like this with her blood. A little bit here, a little bit there. Like, come on. But anyway, Nick is covered. She does a little bit here so she can stay hot. And then after being so badass, she turns around to Nick and she's like, when you're around the dead, you shut up. You stay quiet. When you're around me, you shut up and stay quiet. Basically, just shut up and stay quiet. I'm bringing you because if and when, most likely when you die, nobody's going to miss you. You are literally garbage. Like, she's this tough on him. 5 minutes later, what happens? They are talking. We went from this badass, you are around the dead, don't talk. You're around me, don't talk. The next scene, they're talking. And she's answering them freely. Are you telling me they couldn't go in there and polish this up and be like, listen, when it's clear, you make sure it's clear. You talk only when I say you can. Some stupid shit like that. That's better than don't talk. Because it was jarring how tough she was, how demanding she was, and specific she was. Don't talk. In the very next scene, he talks and she's fine with it. And the gut stuff, it's starting to lose its appeal in a big way to me. Now, here's the thing. The Walking Dead, the original show, nah, it's not in the clear either. I was vocally, now I had to take a break because I was in the middle of some things during season 3, so I did not review the part where Michonne put the 2 walkers after the governor took out the prison. Michonne put 2 walkers on a leash. She has like no blood on her, and she just walked right into a herd. I went nuts with that. I was like, it's inconsistent. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely stupid. And then I thought the only thing I can rationalize was okay, the walkers actually, it's like a scent camouflage. So as long as she is staying in line robotic like a walker, nothing's going to get the walker's attention, the walkers that are around her. So then I was thinking, okay, it's scent and attention. Because once you get their attention, once she cuts, Michonne in The Walking Dead, once she cuts the walker's head off, she now has their attention. She's not acting like a walker. She gets their attention, so now the smell doesn't matter anymore. They might not smell Michonne, but she's not acting. It's grabbing their attention, so to speak. So, okay, I can let Fear the Walking Dead put a little bit of blood on, and they're traveling through walkers and all this other stuff. But it is somewhat losing its appeal. I feel like, and a part of this, let me explain, was the fact that they were there and they cut, and just put a little bit on their face, a little bit on their body, and that's it. Like, if they would have smothered themselves, or even just cut them and literally went right underneath them and just poured it all on themselves, or a lot of it, I probably would have been fine with it. Like, okay, that's a good amount there. But then they literally walk off, and the walkers are there, and they're not interested anymore. Anyway, the gut stuff is losing its appeal, so to speak. And the cake with the little girl, this was one of the worst parts in the episode, and it was also one of the best parts. Character development-wise, Nick gets the cake for the little girl, and I thought that was absolutely sweet. At first, I didn't know why he was grabbing a cake, and then he brings it back and gives it to the little girl. For character development, that was incredible. But couldn't the writers have simply come up with a reason for them not to be able to take that food? Maybe they were down to the last 1 or 2, and the guys, for whatever reason, as they're walking up, have one of the guys eaten one of them and be like, man, this is my favorite. I'm getting the last 2. None of you assholes sell it, or I'll be pissed. Something simple like that, because you know what happened? We get the dumbest scene after that. Once Nick steals it, we see a whole cart. First off, the girl's like, don't put that in the cart, even though when they put the water barrels in, it causes these massive gaps, because you have a rectangular cart and you have these circle water jugs. There's massive gaps where you can simply just drop the candy in it, the cake. You could have probably filled all those gaps with food and supplies. The rule is to just fill the cart. What am I missing here? You could have put it on top of the cart, because it didn't matter about overflowing, because everything else was sticking everywhere. I'm actually going to put images in this right now. In this video, I'm going to put images up. And also, I'm going to put images up to see if AMC leaves me alone. Me and others. If you post videos on YouTube and AMC is still coming after you, please contact me. I'm still trying to figure out if they have stopped or what. So far, they have stopped on this channel since we've been complaining. But I want to see if we put a picture or 2 or 3 or 4, if they start coming after us again. So let me know. But this scene was absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. You could have put that cake anywhere. And I thought it really, really killed something good. And this is my problem with Fear the Walking Dead. I see the potential in how it's structured and parts of the storyline, but I feel like all we're getting is the first draft of the script. It's as if nobody goes back and repolishes the script, and I honestly feel that way. Looking back on a few episodes, that is my major complaint. Even when I like parts and, I didn't like others, I look back on it, and my main complaint this whole time is I feel like we're getting the first draft of everything. It's like they don't polish up the script. Like, look at the cake scene. She comes out, the girl, the really hot chick, she comes out. She didn't know he wanted that cake for the little girl because she made this expression like, wow, I feel like an asshole, and that was absolutely the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Then she calls Nick over. Nick goes over to Alejandro. He walks out. What does he say? So you risked a war stealing a little cake for stealing a piece of cake for a little girl? Alejandro, how did you know that? Because the girl didn't know that. When the girl went to tell Alejandro they're back, she did not know that. She didn't know that till she came back. Did she go back to Alejandro, walk all the way away, and then Nick came all the way up the steps? That's just stupid, So go back and rewatch that scene. It's either editing, how they filmed it, or again, we're just getting first drafts of the script and no one's going back and polishing this shit because it feels that way. As far as the bite here, I'm a little mixed. And it looks like a bite. Here, I'll show an image too. This looks like a bite. It's deep, it's brutal, it looks like a bite. But I'm calling bullshit because Eugene had a cure, right? And I'm calling bullshit because I don't feel like they're going to go towards this direction. I feel like this could be anything. And I'm calling bullshit mainly because we didn't see it. And even though the girl said she saw it, she could have saw anything else. There could have been walkers around, and there could have been a crazy dude in the middle, and he took a chunk out of the guy, for all we know. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know the details. I'm calling bullshit. If, and this is a small if, this guy did actually get bit by walkers, now we have to look at it like, how does this work? Did he get medicine after? Because we do know that so far, fans are theorizing that if they had strong enough medicine that when a walker bites them, they could just put medicine on it. Because after all, they're already infected with the actual virus, but they die from an infection that overheats their body. You know what I mean? So did he get medicine? Is that the case? If he didn't get medicine, did he get a fever? Was he sick? Anything. I mean, details are going to help figuring this out. But right now, I don't buy it. And if that's the case, if he did get bit and he's immune, well, then I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. But at this point, I kind of want them to stay away from the immune thing, unless it's really cool, that something they're cooking up that's really cool. That's all I got to say about this. I really, 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 really hope I like the next episode better. I hate making videos where it's all negative. It drains a lot out of me. Even the next day, I feel like sluggish. I hate it that much. I want to enjoy this. Trust me, I do. And also, about the hashtag Fear the Fair Use, yes, I am still not really promoting Fear the Walking Dead. I'm doing the reviews as a compromise just for the fans who are supporting this channel, who I think, and I agree with some of you, I think it's unfair if I just cut off the reviews. They still are not priority. I got some free time right now. I'm doing a review. It's actually a little bit longer. I'll give you a nice solid review for those who want it. But I'm just not liking this. I'm not liking this. And my main complaint, I feel like we're getting the first draft and no one's polishing this up. But anyway, give me your thoughts and opinions. What did you think about this new episode? Put those down in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.